good political licks. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Rudolph Cappy Greenidge.
Good night to the people of St. George South. It is a pleasure to be here. I was asked just a few minutes ago what I am going to speak about. I thought a little and then I said, you know what I can talk about tonight? I can talk about chalk and cheese. And one of the reasons why I said this is because I reflected on the great number of promises which were made in the last election by the Democratic Labour Party. And then I thought about what my Prime Minister, I always call him my Prime Minister, Owen Arthur, had said around the same time. He said he was not making that type of promise to Barbadians. Owen Arthur said, I will not sell out Barbados just to win an election. And those were words that stuck with me then, and they have remained with me since then. I will not sell out Barbados just to win an election. He could have made promises too, but he chose not to. Owen chose to face economic reality. And the Dems are now in a lot of trouble for those promises they had made. Because if as a Prime Minister you inherit a recession, you have to work with it. You have to find ways and means to cope with that recession. You have to say what you are going to do to cope with those stormy times. And Owen knew that those times would come. And now all the Democratic Labour Party is doing is blaming the Barbados Labour Party for their incompetence. And we have said all the time that during a recession, you make every effort to try not to impose taxes on the people. Because taxation means that you are going to be taking money out of the economy. It means that you are going to be losing jobs. And the Democratic Labour Party did not do this. Instead, they gave us taxation after taxation. Who else but a Democratic Labour Party like that would have burdened the people of Barbados with taxes in the middle of a recession? Very, very heartless Democratic Labour Party government. They increased your VAT to 17.5%. 60% water rates increase. Land tax increase. Road tax increase. The made young lawyers now beginning pay $2,500 like the old lawyers were paying. That is what they did. And I always compare that to taking lunch money from a school child. It is too unfair. But that Democratic Labour Party government is a very heartless government. It is a luck and chance government. We're like a ship without a rudder when they are running the affairs of this country, playing poker with the lives of Barbadians. And I have said before that during a recession, a government has to do those things to make the people realize that they, as a government, realize what the people are going through. That they must behave like the people, They must do the things like the people. Act, grin and bear it, suck salt where necessary, like the people. But they did not do that. They should have done a couple of things to let the people know, we understand what is happening. They could have reduced their own allowances. The ministers' allowances could have been reduced. Instead, what did they do? They appointed a new minister. More money coming. They didn't try to save anything. They paid out millions of dollars forming constituency councils. Waste of good money. They could have said when we are traveling, we will not be traveling first class. For the next 3 months, we travel like anybody in economy because we want the people to know that we appreciate what they're going through. If they had done a couple of things like that, it would have shown that they understood what Bajans were going through. But it is clear that they did not. And so what do we have now? We have a situation where the other countries in the Caribbean are running fast and going on ahead of Barbados. And we are trying hard to catch up. We are not the leader in the Caribbean any longer. We have turned up for the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup came in only this evening. We've turned up for the Gold Cup, but we are like a horse without a rider. Because the person who is supposed to be at the head of the government, he has fallen asleep at the wheel. Chalk with cheese. He is chalk. He is the chalk. And I'm convinced now that it is going to be very difficult for the Democratic Labour Party to retain this government. I'm convinced it's going to be a real struggle for them. They're struggling already. I said that it is easier for them to land a man on the moon than for them to retain this government. It's not going to be easy. If you are a leader of a country, and Frendel Stewart is supposed to be the leader of this country, you have to make and set certain goals. You have to set some goals. Remember what John F. Kennedy said. He said, in 8 years' time, I will put a man on the moon. And by Jove, he tried and they did it. Hillary Becker says to Barbadians, he says, I want to see a graduate in every household. And he's trying to do it. Owen Arthur says, I have come to politics to stop Barbadians from being poor. And he's trying hard with it. Frendel Stewart has never made such a statement to Barbadians. He has never set himself a goal to work towards. People are comparing Frendel Stewart with Owen Arthur, chalk with cheese. Even David Thompson had said he had a goal. Job number 1 is cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. But Frendel has never said anything to make Barbadians feel that he's working towards anything. So nobody knows where Frendel Stewart stands. He has never made a definitive pledge to this country. Nothing to work towards. And I say again that there has been no evolution whatsoever in Frendel Stewart as a Prime Minister. Don't compare him with Arthur, chalk with cheese. Frendel has not grown as a Prime Minister. You have an eager 11 that tried to change their coach. Tried to change the coach. Don't compare him, chalk with cheese. Because when the eager 11 did that, they were asking themselves, is Frendel Stewart part of our future? Or is he holding back our future? as a Prime Minister, you cannot appear to be a bench warmer in the House of Assembly, nor in the Cabinet. You cannot limit yourself as a Prime Minister to a portfolio called Urban Development and Defense. You have, as a Prime Minister, to hold a prestigious portfolio. Look at what Barrow did. Barrow was a minister for... You can't do it. Look at Tom Adams, St. John, Sandyford, Arthur, even Thompson. All of those held prestigious portfolios. And you cannot, as a Prime Minister, walk around Barbados saying, give us another term. Why? Because Michael Ashley is doing well in housing. What about you, Prime Minister? What about your portfolio? How is that performing? Those are the questions you have to ask him. But he has demeaned the office of Prime Minister by holding a nothing portfolio. You think you could see Barrow holding urban development or Tom or any of those? Only a Nene Prime Minister would go saying that he's a Minister of Urban Development, and that is what his portfolio is. And that is why, you see, there was a time that Peter Wickham did a poll. And Wickham said, all right, let us put 4 people here and see which of them the Barbadians want as Prime Minister. Owen come first, May come second, Sinclair come third. I can't remember what kids say, except Friend Stewart come. Friend will come last. Friend will come last. He has demeaned the office of Prime Minister. Because if you hold Nene things, people will see you as a Nene man. And you know that even recently, I understand within the Dems themselves, some of them in high positions too, they are wishing, hoping, and praying that Frenda loses his seat. You can imagine that that is what they are hoping for their Prime Minister. Man, to compare him with Arthur is chalk with cheese. Many of you all voted for David Thompson as your leader to be your Prime Minister. And maybe we expected after Thompson died a bit too much from Frendel Stewart. Because Frendel Stewart is an accidental Prime Minister. He's a Prime Minister by accident. Last night in Rendezvous, I told the people there that Frendel Stewart is really the movie that you were forced to watch. Because the movie that you really wanted to watch was sold out. And now you realize that the movie you are watching is no good. I urge you people to get up out the theater and walk out. Walk out on him. As a man, we do not hate Frendel Stewart. We hate the job that Frendel is doing. But the Democratic Labour Party, they hate Owen Arthur. And they hate him for one reason and one reason only. They hate Owen Arthur because Owen Arthur has been a successful and an outstanding Prime Minister. And that is the only crime that Owen Arthur has committed. That is all they hate this man for. So to the Dems again I say, we do not want you to like Owen Arthur. We want you to like the job that he can do. And the fact of the matter is that he has been an extremely successful Prime Minister. And he has nothing to be ashamed about. Because, Owen, you don't have to apologize for success. To compare you with Frendel is chalk with cheese. And you know, they're going through Barbados every night on their platforms. And they're not dealing with the issues at all, at all, at all. There are so many issues for them to deal with, and they're not dealing with the issues. They are more concerned with cursing the Barbados Labour Party, especially cursing Owen Arthur, and not dealing with the issues. And you know what the problem is? When you are a party coming back to ask for re-election for a second term, you have to defend your record. When you come back to the people saying, put me there again, you're on the defensive. You have to defend your record. But because they have no record at all, they have no record whatsoever, no achievements, they're going after Owen Arthur, the general. They're trying to shoot the general, our general. Even with some of the posters and things that I saw the ad in the Nation, and I had a bullet hole somewhere near Arthur's chest. Even in those advertisements, they're going after the man. But I could tell them one thing. It is very difficult for them to curse Arthur and it stick in a season like this. You can't curse Owen Arthur in this present season. You know why? Owen Arthur's continued presence in politics reminds Barbadians of the good times that we had. It reminds Barbadians of the money that we had in our pockets. It reminds Barbadians of great leadership. You see those 14 good, great years that we had under Owen Arthur? Those years are sticking in the throats of the Democratic Labour Party. And anytime you ask them anything about how come they can't get things done and so on, the first thing they say, the reason why we ain't making the runs, the reason why we ain't getting it, the reason, the wicket bad, the wicket sticky. But you see, the point is, they never tried to roll the wicket. They never tried to cushion the blow for us. Everything now, the blame, Barbados Labour Party, leave it, the economical recession, and never once have they tried to put anything in place to cushion our blow. I was in the cabinet with people like David Simmons, Owen Arthur, May Motley, Liz and Reggie Farley and those people. And every lunchtime we sat down and we would say, what can we do now as a government to take Barbados a step further? One time we said a rural development. Next time we said urban development. Next time we said we put some national heroes. We did all the national heroes and all those things because we were a thinking cabinet. We look for things to do. We look for things to do to take the country forward. And our Barbados Labour Party, we still have people with great ideas. This party is a marketplace for good ideas. Always people thinking. And I was telling the people last night about what I heard. What I heard. I heard that before David Thompson died, he called Frendel and he said, my time might not be too long. And he gave Frendel an envelope and he said, don't open the envelope until my passing and until you are made Prime Minister. He said it contains the names of those persons in the party with ability. And he says, I have put beside their names portfolios for each one of them and which ones they're qualified to handle. Thompson died, Frendel became Prime Minister and opened the envelope. And the sheet inside it was blank. It was a way of saying that none of them got any ability to handle anything. So Thompson's blank sheet was right. Because Eswick and Kelman and Soku and Lowe and John Boyce and all of them, even Stewart himself, they continue to fumble and fumble and fumble. And this present group is easily the most incompetent government since independence. All because they are barren of ideas. It is not a productive group at all. And I've got the signal that we should be, go ahead, okay, go ahead, yeah, okay. Thompson was always thinking something good. Sometimes he thought something bad. Free bus fares weren't so, that wasn't bad at all. But he used to think. But you know that since David Thompson died, not an original thought has come from the Democratic Labour Party. That group there, they have no vision, they have no plan, they have no strategy whatsoever. They are just there. Just there. So, not if, but when they leave office, come February 21st, they will have no accomplishments whatsoever to point at, except those two things that Thompson did that they're always talking about. Free bus fare, constituency councils. Those two things. Nothing original came since then. And they have the audacity to come back to you, Barbadians, asking them for a second term. But when they come, I want you to tell them that Bajan don't stump it toe upon the same rock twice. Bajan don't stump it toe upon the same rock twice. This Democratic Labour Party government has been a real nightmare to Barbadians. But I tell you tonight, better days are coming. And there is an answer. There is an answer to our problems. And when you go to vote, especially those of you who are out of a job, out of work, I urge you that when you get into that booth, when you take that pencil in your hand, and before you make that X, ask yourself, out of the Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party, which one gives me the better opportunity of getting back some work? It is chalk and cheese. If anybody, if any single person in this country can turn this economy around, it is Owen Seymour Arthur. If any party in this country can turn this economy around, it is the Barbados Labour Party. All this sweet country of ours wants is leadership. And you, the people of St. George, can give us that leadership on election day. I want Dwight Sutherland. I want Dwight Sutherland. That's right. And the business class. You know how many hotels and guest houses got closed down? 30-something. under this Democratic Labour Party. So many people in those 30-something hotels and guest houses are out of work. So many of them. But I have a feeling that the business class will once again replace fear with confidence. Once again, things will be better in this country. I have a feeling that this country, Barbados, will once again shine like a city on a hill. And I do believe that you, the people of St. George South, would have contributed tremendously to our making this country of ours rise from the ashes once more. Good night, people, and God bless you.
Friends, you heard from Cappy Greenidge, a former member of Parliament. You heard from him the good deeds of Owen Arthur and the Barbados Labour Party. You can be assured that Owen Arthur and the Barbados Labour Party will once again take this country safely through difficult times. In 2001, when we faced the challenges as a result of September 11th, Owen Arthur said to this country that he would take us safely through, and that is exactly what he did. I want you, friends, to recognize that whenever the Barbados Labour Party is in office, you got money in your pocket. There's money to spend. Whenever the Barbados Labour Party is in office, you got your jobs, people working. But when the Democratic Labour Party comes to office, what happens? Always hard times, always difficult times, it's always rough. And part of the reason for that is that the Democratic Labour Party is good at catchphrases, but in essence, what is really critical and important to ensure that you have a good functioning and performing economy, which can be of benefit to you, the people, the Democratic Labour Party really does not have an idea as to how they can make things better. Friends, we in the Barbados Labour Party have a proud record. We in the Barbados Labour Party are not just about talk. We are about ensuring. We are about ensuring that by the manner in which we function, we make life better for you. In 2008, when the Democratic Labour Party said that their first job was cost of living, and that their second job was cost of living, and that their third job was cost of living, they knew then that they were unable to reduce the cost of living. The expectation was by Barbadians that a government of the Democratic Labour Party would have reduced cost of living. But what did they do? As soon as they formed the government, they immediately removed the subsidy to the Barbados National Oil Company. And that immediately forced prices in this country to go up. Ladies and gentlemen, these difficult and hard times have to stop. And I say to you that better days are coming. I say to you that Barbados will be rescued. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the next Prime Minister of Barbados.